education in the diaspora. My name is Tisha, and this is the platform where people who have studied abroad share their experiences and give us tips on how we can apply for schools and scholarships. And today, I'm so pleased to be speaking to another wonderful gentleman, right? So, my guest for today was born and raised in Ghana and obtained his bachelor's degree in community development from the University for Development Studies in Ghana, and a Master of Science degree in energy policy from the Pan African University Institute in Clemson, Algeria. He is specifically interested in water, energy, climate nexus with a keen interest in gender mainstreaming and partnership for community development. He is currently a PhD candidate at Dundalk Institute of Technology in Ireland. My guest for today is Mr. Sarpong Hammond Antwi, and today we are talking about studying in Ireland. Welcome, Mr. Sarpong.
Thank you so much, Tisha, and nice to be with you and your audience from all over the world and in Africa. And it's an honor to be invited to share my thought and perspective with your audience.
Wow, great. So, how do you do?
Yeah, I think literally I should respond, how do you do? But then for the purposes of the Ghanaian way of things, I'm doing well, I'm okay. I'm still stuck in the office trying to finish up for the day, and then I couldn't wait to grab this opportunity, as I indicated earlier, that this is something that needs to be done quite often, and then we need people to share their stories to motivate the team and youth out there who need just a line of encouragement to keep going. So, yeah, I'm okay and I'm happy, extremely happy to be here this evening.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you here also. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are talking about studying in Ireland, right? And I want to know what motivated you to choose Ireland for your PhD?
Well, I have an interesting journey when it comes to academics. So I've been a nomadic academic, just moving from one place to the other. So I moved 9 hours from home in Ghana to Upper West region, where I started my bachelor's, and then I studied community development. So after my bachelor's, I was a teaching assistant, and that was at the peak of the lighthouse situation, commonly referred to doom. So I always used to think, how do we solve these things specifically relating to community? And in Upper West, where we have a lot of sunshine. So that's why I started reading about renewable energy and energy for community. So when I saw the scholarship from the Pan African University, where they focus on water and energy, you were required to write a brief statement on what you want to solve. And I related my background in community development to pursuing energy, renewable energy, to help communities get access to light. So that was my brief write up. And then, God being so good, out of the multitude across Africa, the Pan African Scholarship is one of the most competitive you can think of, because it's funded by the African Union with support from its partners across the world. And you have everybody who qualifies as an African applying. So I was privileged to be part of the 53 students in my batch, and then the fourth from Ghana to be part of that specific cohort. And so from there, after the master's in energy policy, so I had community development and I had that of energy. And I've always been looking at challenging situations. So in my pursuit of masters, I always find people talk about climate change, water, energy, and the nexus. And I'm like, you don't hear too much of Africans in this specific area. You always find the Germans and the Europeans and a few Indians in this particular field, because you can find someone very good in water, another person very good in energy, and another in climate. But if you have somebody who can combine all the three, that person becomes perfect. So I was like, why don't I go for this? I love challenges. So I started writing proposals. PhD, you need to write a couple of proposals. So I wrote one for energy, and then I linked the energy with community development. And I had one specifically combining all my backgrounds, so energy and then community development. I wanted to challenge myself with water. So
Wow.
I added that of water, and then so this is the funny story. One day I were in Algeria. We play football in
Mm.
our residence. So after playing football, the weather is always very cold. Sometimes we have negative numbers. So I think it
Mm.
was around 5 degrees. So I came back sweaty, and then I was heating water to take my shower. And then I saw an email, and it says, yeah, Irish government scholarship. And I think 2 days to deadline. And they requested that you submit your CV and your application proposal. So once I had these proposals down,
Already. Mm-hmm.
yes, I was still not done with my master's officially, but I had written because you always have to know what you want and start the
Yeah, be
preparation.
ahead of. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the application just requested for these two documents to be sent first. So I was like, oh, let me just sit on my laptop and push this thing to these guys. So I pushed it to them, and I was relaxed. And then
Wow.
later I got the email, hey, Mr. Hammond, can you prepare for an interview? Like, oh, this was one of the simple applications I did. And they were
Yeah.
sending me invitation. And then I was in Niger. So I did
Mm.
my research in Niger. I was focusing on community acceptability of renewable energy because in Africa we have a lot of sunshine. You find a lot of organizations telling Africans that we need to utilize our sunshine. But the question is, do
How?
the community really want solar or
Mm.
electricity? And when you speak to the people, they tell you different things they want beyond what you think they need. So I
Yeah.
spent 1 month with the people of Sekuku community in Niger. I lived with them. I was living in the community with no electricity, and they had one borehole. And
Mm.
Niger is extremely hot, so you fetch the water, and within minutes it's hot.
Hot.
So I was
Mm.
living there, and the day I came to town, I saw my email requesting for me to choose a time for my interview. And the
Interview.
internet, if you've ever been to Niger, anybody listening has ever been to Niger, internet is a big problem. So I rushed to a cafe and told them, look, I need a stable internet for like 10 minutes for an interview. And I had to pay that much for that. So
Mm.
later I came to the institute where I was affiliated to, and I was doing my research. So I set up my laptop, and I prepared for the interview. As a matter
Mm.
of fact, I had long list of things about energy, water,
Yeah.
because water was in my main domain. So I
Mm.
prepared a whole lot. Then I go to the interview, and now this is a trick. Before you go for an interview, make sure you find out about the panel, read as much as you can about them. So I did a thorough background reading of all the panel. I realized what they need. So in my
Mm.
questions, I was referring them to projects they've done
They are
and
doing.
how I
Yeah.
can improve. So my interview turned into a conversation like we are having. And they were telling me, okay, tell me about Niger, tell me about this. And I felt it wasn't an interview, it was a
Yeah.
conversation. And then,
Interaction. Mm.
yeah, in I think a day to my birthday, I got, you can imagine getting that letter stating that you've been accepted. And I was alone in my room. I screamed. I jumped on my bed. And that evening, I ate one of the biggest guinea fowl I've ever eaten. So
Wow.
just to celebrate. And
To
so that's,
celebrate.
yeah, that has been
Mm. It
the
was what is deserving. Mm-hmm.
that has been the journey to Ireland. But specifically, what inspired me to come to Ireland, there wasn't any specific motivation. But then, scholarship is given by either private entity or government. So this one was by the Irish Research Council. So that's the body in Ireland that gives scholarship. So I saw the announcement, and it felt in line with the proposal I had. So
Yeah.
it's based.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that you saw the announcement. Where did you see it?
Yeah, so I subscribed to a lot of scholarship links. So
Okay.
sometimes
Okay.
via emails, you see that, and unfortunately, most of them pick from various universities. So you see them 2 days to deadline, one
Mm.
week to deadline, 2 days or 3 days. So when I saw it, it was just very close, and it was about 10 projects. And I
Mm.
was reading through. I didn't fit in all except the one that my proposal was on, which was on water governance and management. And my proposal was on community development and then energy and that of water. So the mergence between governance and management was a bit central, and that's why I felt okay, let me go. So that was the fourth project in 9 projects the government was awarding the scholarship on.
Mm.
And here I am today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, do you remember the name of the website that you subscribe to? Because maybe some of the viewers might want to subscribe to such websites so that they will be informed about scholarship openings, etc.
Okay, so personally, I run a blog, the commentafrica.com. So
Oh,
I
okay.
yes, I have
Comment Africa.
africa.net, commentsafrica.net. So what I used to work for a media
Mm-hmm.
agency back in school. So I knew most of them, they source their opportunities directly from the university website. So what I did is I've subscribed to a lot of these websites. So particularly with my PhD, it was from the University of Cork. I subscribed to their newsletter, sorry. So normally they push emails to you. So that was one of the emails I saw, and yeah, it pops up and there's a lot of opportunities. Sometimes you miss it, but I don't know whether it was by divine intervention, because I was heating my water ready to bath and go find something to eat, and
And then,
yeah, I saw that pop-up message. Probably if I'd log on off my laptop, I wouldn't have seen that. Yeah.
yeah, it was your time. So,
Yeah.
can you take us through a bit of the application process?
Well, so the Irish government scholarship is a yearly scholarship for masters and PhD. And then for anyone listening, you don't necessarily need to subscribe to a university. Just check Google Irish government scholarship. So every year they announce the number of scholarships out there. Some universities have their own topic, like what happened to me. Others is free. You just have to tender in your application. If you are lucky, you go through the interview process. So what happened to me specifically is they requested for my CV, which I encourage every one of you or anyone listening to always have your standard academic CV prepared. So you can even close your eyes and submit anytime somebody requests for that. So I had my CV prepared, and the advantage I had was I had a proposal also in place. And the funny thing is, after I got admission recently, I was reading through the letter and I realized that I made a mistake and with, because I was just rushing. So I encourage people. Probably I was lucky to go away with it, but take your time to proofread
Yeah.
whatever you are sending. So they requested for the proposal and CV, and then they sort it out. So based on those who qualify from that stage, you are invited for an interview. And through the interview, they sort out again and they look at, some people cannot travel to Ireland based on different reasons. So it's like three different stages. And once you qualify, you need to go back to the government website and register. And from there, your funding for your fees and stipend and everything will come. And
So,
I can
mhm.
promise you it's not that difficult, but make sure you have something at hand. And then the good thing is you can visit their past applications on their website and see the kind of topics they request students to work on, or the kind of universities they are working with.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So, like the government scholarship, do they have some specific universities that they work with? And then after you've got, is it like, do you have to get a scholarship before you look for the school, or how does it work?
So the scholarship in Ireland is in two forms. The universities have their own individual scholarships and dean scholarship like any other institute. But what I had was specifically for the government, and my particular funding is a landscape funding, which is part of the Irish government. So once you apply for it, the university's name will be there, the topic will be there, and the funding body, which is the Irish government, will be there. So once you pass through that, it's one off for both the school and the scholarship. But then after the school accepts you, the supervisor you have will have to fine tune your proposal and present it to the government, because the government has its own research policy, and
Hmm.
your research should be in line with the national agenda. So sometimes you might. So for me, for example, I was trying to focus more on Africa, like
Mm-hmm.
100% Africa. Now they tell me, well, we are not going to say don't focus on Africa, but you need to also help Ireland. So now I'm doing
So
like,
they're forcing your education,
yes,
right?
so I'm doing like 60-40. You understand?
And
And
where the 40 is for Africa or Ireland?
yes, the 40 is for Africa, and of course, but it's the
Oh,
same. No, the good thing is the problem I'm working on is a problem that exists all over Africa. So
how?
anyone can pick my resource and just fix in their specific country and find out how this can work there. Yeah. And of course, if somebody is paying you over 40,000 a year for school fees, you expect that he takes
Mhm.
the best out of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Of
Yeah.
course. So you mentioned a supervisor. Do you need to get a supervisor before the school, or the school will help you get a supervisor? I mean, do you have to write to a supervisor or someone to say, please, would you like to supervise me? And then the person will say, oh, okay, yes, this is my university. Or you need to contact the university or apply to the university, and then the university will help you get a supervisor.
Yes. So with the Irish government, again, what you are saying exists for individual universities where you have to find out the supervisor. But with the Irish government scholarship,
Mm,
the government has its own research agenda. And so with my university, the agenda my university is pursuing is sustainable water.
mm,
And so they have the department, they have the lecturers. And so when you look at the application, you see the name of the lecturers, their email address, their telephone number, the topic they have. And now what you need is how your proposal will fit into that topic they have and they align. So if I compare it to the ones you have to chase supervisor, I would say this is easy. And
mm.
the more easy it becomes, the more competitive it becomes to break through because
Yeah.
one particular topic might have like 6 people or even let's say 200 people applying for that topic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You need to be outstanding before they pick you out. So you'll be lucky to have the supervisors already in place with even the funding, how much you'll be receiving, and yeah, of course, I made a mistake. I had the opportunity to bring my family. By that time, I was single and I messed that
Mm.
up. So, they tell you all the packages, everything is just structured. And that becomes quite a bit easier. The other thing is each of the university has its own scholarship where you
Mm.
can also visit their website. And when you go to the Irish government, Irish Research Council, sorry, website, you find all the schools listed. So
Mm.
don't only focus on their funding because it's competitive. So you work on that, but you can also visit the individual schools and they all have areas of expertise or areas that they are. So let's say you want to do political science, you might be
Mm-hmm.
considering Trinity College, and then you go to their website, you can find out more. Maybe you want to engage in environmental sustainability, you can be thinking about my university or
Mm.
University of Cork. Maybe you are thinking of maritime science, you can be thinking about Cork University or Limerick. Maybe you are looking at health, public health, you might be
Mm-hmm.
thinking about Limerick University, Maynooth University. So Ireland I think I love the way they've structured their universities and the
Yeah.
courses they offer. So each area has 2 or 3 universities and they make things simple. They tell you how much you need to pay or whether it's free, what to do, and the application is systematic. And compared to other applications I made, I find
Mm.
is once you have your
Yeah.
CV, yeah,
So
and
apart from the CV and then the proposal, what other thing do they require?
yeah,
I mean, recommendation letters or?
yeah, so you need recommendation letter. That is after you tender in your CV and your
Mm-hmm.
proposal, before you get to the next stage, they now ask you to submit 3 names. So you do that, and I don't even know the content they sent out to people. Now, here is another thing I'll point out. So we all make that mistake where we pick our church or mosque leaders as part of our recommenders. But if it's for academic, make sure you have your thesis supervisor there. You
Mm.
have one of the best courses you really understood when you were in school, and
Mm.
then one other person in academia, probably in that particular country you are going. So let me tell you this story. It might sound weird. So one day I was chatting with my supervisor and he said, "Oh, we picked Hammond because he had a good recommendation coming from."
Mm.
So I have one professor from Germany. I volunteered for him.
Mm.
So when I was supposed to go to Europe, I was looking for an European referee. So I
Yeah.
added him and that did the magic. So it's not sometimes I always tell people it's not just about how good you are, but the
Mm.
thing you even put on your CV defines you. Imagine I only put Ghanaian professors. They'll be like, this guy is too Ghanaian, he's too Algerian. You get a point.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
maybe you're applying to UK, if you have a Ghanaian referee based in the UK, speak to him at hand and tell him I'm adding you. There's always that kind of connection. An European will favor an European. Is there
Yeah, of course.
just as a Ghanaian would do. So she didn't realize what she's telling, but she said, we got a good recommendation from this guy, and he works in a university in Liechtenstein. And why did I put him there? Because I volunteered for 3 months for his organization for free. So the
Mm.
point here is places you volunteer and you do good work, you should be able to add such places as part of your referees. So the volunteering part played a key role. And of course, the practical stuff I was doing in Algeria, in Ghana, in Niger, and
All
US
help.
and other places. It all helps. So at the end of the day, when you pick the CV, maybe you
No,
say this guy is more energy focused, but he has been doing things in
other
climate
stuff.
shortly.
Yeah.
He has been
Mm-hmm.
doing in gender. So I think it's difficult to reject me if I should say maybe.
I was going to ask you that. You mentioned that this scholarship was very, very competitive. So I was going to ask you: is there any trick or any any tips that you can give to our audience
Yeah,
during
so
the application process? If there's maybe something that you have to do to stand out.
yeah, I think one of the first thing is know the difference between a standard CV and an academic CV, and the things you are putting on your academic CV. And here is the point. If you are still in the university and you are listening to me, look, try as much as possible. Lead in group discussions to build your expertise in public presentation. Go out there and volunteer as part of your attachment, and you should be bold to write places you volunteered on your CV. Try to learn how to write academic papers if you can. It helps because be proud to my application. I had written three, although sometimes it doesn't count, but it gives an advantage. And
Yeah.
again, there's the English learning test, TOEFL and IELTS.
Mm.
So if you are from an English speaking country, normally they don't request for it. But the challenge now is Indians are writing it, other English African countries are writing it. So don't say because I'm from Ghana, I speak English. So I wrote IELTS. It
Mm.
wasn't requested as part of my application, but
Mm-hmm.
I added it as part of my document. So even if they were thinking of rejecting me, they'd be like, okay, this guy has proven himself in
Yeah.
English compared to this person. And that becomes an advantage for you. So
Yeah.
number one, try to volunteer as much as you can and add it to your CV.
Mm.
Number two, whether you are from French or English speaking country, if you have the money,
Mm-hmm.
you can write the English test, either TOEFL or IELTS or GRE based on whatever you want to do. It
Mm.
gives you a bit of advantage. So out of the multitude, they will now be sorting, okay, you had first class. And first of all, you don't need first class to get a scholarship. That is something people don't know.
Mm.
They request for how strong you are and how practical you are. So my CV is not just school, but it has to do with the
Extra stuff.
extracurriculum activities.
Yeah.
I formed an organization that was on gender and climate change, and I did presentations in the US and other won competition. So now I present this to you, and I tell you,
You
fund
can't
me. You
reject.
can't reject. So you
Yeah.
see, if I'm to tell you where I'm coming from, you understand and you appreciate the fact that your parents don't have to be rich or poor
Mm.
for you to get scholarship. You have to position yourself to get
Yourself.
it.
Mm.
So you tell yourself, I want to get a scholarship, and what do I need to do? And you start working towards that. So you get your CV. Some people they mix their CVs up. You ask them, send me their CV. Within 30 minutes, it will take them 4 hours because they have to go and edit. But at every point, your CV should be up to date. If you
Yeah.
request for it,
Mm.
within seconds, I send it to you. It should be on your phone, it should be on your laptop, on your pen
Have
drive.
it handy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Thank you. So, I want to ask this. Is it possible for students to also study? I mean, since the scholarship is very competitive, if I don't get a scholarship, is it possible for me to fund myself to study in Ireland?
Yeah, it is, and I think the universities, if they have their way, they will not even give scholarship because if you are having the money to pay for, they are willing to accept that. And yeah, that's always the if you have money, you don't even have to stress yourself writing a lot of
Yeah.
stuff because you always have to pay maybe 50 euro for application fee, and they
Mm.
accept you. So there are a lot of opportunities, and um Another thing I'll add in here. So when I was a bachelor student, we all used to think I want to go to Germany, I want to go to Canada, I want to
Mm,
go to US. And
mm,
sometimes people focus all their energies on these countries.
mm.
But the best thing that has happened to me in life personally is going to Algeria. So when
Yeah,
I got a scholarship in Algeria, friends told me, "You're going to Algeria, is an Arab country, is in Africa. People are going to Germany."
and you are
But I
going to
was in
Nigeria.
Algeria. Between Algeria and Europe was less than 2 hours. I was flying. I traveled to many countries. I think it
Mm-hmm,
was 7 countries while I was in Algeria, and
mm-hmm.
flight is cheaper to Europe. And so imagine somebody living in Algeria and somebody living in Germany on a stipend of like 700 or $750. In
Mm.
Germany, you spend more than I'm spending in Algeria.
Yeah,
So in terms of money, I'm making more
you're able
than,
to save more.
yeah. And there are a lot of opportunities in Algeria or in Africa because all the experts in Europe, they come to handle specific courses. So you
Mm,
have lecturers from Canada, from all over the world. The best among the rest are
yeah.
brought to teach. So don't limit yourself to Canada, Germany. Is good, but number one, know what course you want to study.
Yeah, that's the most important.
Yes, even if it's in Afghanistan and you can guarantee your safety, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say don't go. As far as
Mm.
you know your, and of course, if you are going to institution, academic institution, you're always safe
Save,
compared
yeah,
to the US.
yeah, that's
So
true.
look at the course you want to study and go for it in respect of the country. Till date, I have colleagues who wanted to go to Germany and they ended up doing their masters in Ghana because they
Mm.
were so focused on going to Germany, it never worked for them. So
Mm-hmm.
apply, even if it's in Ghana and it's funded, and you can live happily in your home and travel to Legon or Tech. Do it.
Yeah,
At the
that's
end of the
fine.
day, it's the quality output you are
Yeah.
producing that matters
Mm-hmm.
and not the name of the country. So I lived in Algeria, and Algeria opened the door, but people who were so fixed on Canada, Germany, I can fly and visit them anytime. You get
Mm-hmm.
it? So it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily matter the country, forget it.
Mm.
Focus on the course you want to and which
Mm.
institution and country can offer you.
For that.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. So I want to ask for those who may not be lucky to get a scholarship, okay, and are going to self fund themselves. What's the cost of living in Ireland?
Well, Ireland is very expensive. When I think about how life was easy for me in
In
Algeria,
Nigeria.
when I think of it, I always scream like I pay rent, and I tell people the rent I pay for a single room in Ghana will get me like a good two-bedroom or something, and like so. The only obscure thing about Ireland is expensive to live. So Ireland is an island on its own, and our
Mm,
population is less than 4 million. And then it rains more than 225 days in a year. So
mm,
there is always rain. So if you don't have a proper accommodation and heating system, you'll be in serious conditions. So um, overall, we have housing crisis, and that is an aspect my research is also looking at.
mm-hmm,
So after the 2018 2010 2018 economic crunch across the world,
mm.
most European countries had challenges with housing and insurance and other things. So Ireland were hard hit with housing deficit. So it's very expensive. So you feel like 20% of your overall stipend goes into rent alone.
Rent.
Yeah,
Mm,
so for that one it's very expensive. But if you get a scholarship, you come for it. The scholarship, one thing I think people also they assume scholarship as income. So they want to deduct their rent and see them making profit. But that is it. Scholarship is for you to be comfortable and
yeah,
steady and make
focus on
an
your
income.
studies. Okay, we
Yeah.
are going to continue, but before that, we have Entry Maxwell asking, Tisha, please ask Hammond here in Ghana if you had E8, it's a pass mark, but yet it can't take you to the university. Can one apply for with the same results in Ireland, or it's a fail?
Well, I can't best answer that whether it's a fail or not. So the specific course you are going to study, you go to the website, they will tell you all the criteria. So the first place to know whether you qualify or not will be the criteria. And mostly I realize that if you are paying, sometimes they look
They
at
don't care.
E8 as far as it's not a fail.
I feel
They might
okay.
consider it. But if you are looking for scholarship with an E8, maybe if you are lucky, that cohort, nobody did that.
What if for example the E8 is not a course that is really related to
Yes,
what you are going to study. For example, I'm going to study mathematics and I had E8 in English.
English. Yeah, so that one. So that's why I said mostly when you go to the website, they specify the courses they want you to pass. So maybe for example, you are going to study artificial intelligence, you should be getting your physics and your chemistry and then your mathematics right. Nobody
Yeah.
will care much about social studies or government. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have an E8 in social studies or government, that might not affect you as much. So always go to the eligibility criteria, check it out. And I think some schools in US, there is even a system where you can put in your results and it will tell you the grading pattern. But
They will convert to the system in the US, right?
yes, yes. So always go to the school website and find out the eligibility criteria. That will always define whether you, and sometimes in Ghana in quotes you say katashi. You know, sometimes like you have E8, but the school says your least grade should be C for Charlie. Sometimes just close your eyes and still apply. You don't know what will come. Maybe that
Mm,
year nobody is even applying. So sometimes
applying.
if you look at the
And
mark,
get lucky.
yeah, so just close your eyes and apply for some of them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Entry Maxwell. I hope your question has been answered. So, we were talking about the cost of living, right? And I want to ask, is it possible for students to work in Ireland?
Yeah.
International students.
Yeah.
Okay.
So students are encouraged to work, and with a student visa, I think you have 20 hour a week to work. I've not started working because I have a whole lot of stuff to do, and then
Mm-hmm.
I always say get the PhD offhand and you can relax. So once you're able to
Make
finish
money
it, yeah,
later.
once you're able to do your literature review and you are confident and you are gathering data, you can now work. So you have 20 hour a week to work. And the good thing with this COVID, I know a Nigerian student who did a master's.
Mm.
So after the masters, they are supposed to work, and now nobody, the visa is supposed to expire, but nobody is even asking them anything. The school told them
Yeah.
if you want to extend your stay for another year, come for it.
Wow.
So you are free, so yeah,
Mm.
you can work and things can be good
Make
for you. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So let me take you to the education system. How different is that from that of Ghana? What you were used to in Ghana?
Well, I think yeah. So, education between a developed and a developing country, of course, there will be differences. But then I have a weird definition for education. I think most of your audience will not agree to me, but I always say that the quality of education beyond the four corners always depends on you. So when I was doing my bachelor's, I was thinking of things to do.
Mm.
Nobody ever mentioned energy policy to me, but I was looking at the overall situation in Ghana. I'm like, how can I solve electricity problem for communities? And I ended up reading about energy and
Mm.
writing a short essay on that to apply for my master's.
Mm.
Nobody ever told me if you study masters in energy, you should be restricted to energy. I wanted to explore, and I started reading about water, and here I am. So the system of education we always complain is not the best. It needs improvement. But you as an individual,
What
how
are you doing
many
for yourself?
how many books are you reading beyond accountancy you did in class? What is the
Mm.
latest accounting software have you practiced? What is
Mm.
the latest book on governance, political system? Have you read Obama's speeches? This one you don't need GES to tell you. You need
Yeah.
to read them on your phone and read, and that makes you competitive. So there are just tips and extra hard work that always makes you better than the system of education you are in. So of course, here always or is better than Ghana, but you as an individual, you can make yourself better and compete here.
I
because
like that.
I'm the first African in my department, and I came here. Everybody wants to see me, like, oh, we heard somebody's from Ghana, and some of them are surprised. But to me, I'm like, I'm free. Everything
Mm.
is cool, but they are surprised because sometimes, in Europe and elsewhere, people will not imagine an African doing something.
Yeah.
But the efforts that people praise are things I find it normal doing. I write papers.
Mm-hmm.
I speak if you give me the chance to. I do things. This speaking, nobody taught us in school. So you
Yeah.
try to learn this and it makes you different. And so when they now, and that's why I'm always focusing. I try my best to impress here so that they can get more Africans will apply and they will pick them. So sometimes I even work extra harder. I tell my supervisors,
Wow, first start there.
yes, I told them I want to add this. They say, Hammond, do you have the time? I said, yes. I try to work extra so that in future, when an African
Can
should
open
apply,
doors for the
we
rest of
open
us.
there. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's great. So far, have you faced any challenges studying in Ireland?
Well, the challenge with boredom, being alone, that thing. Like, and in Nigeria, I was used to greeting people. So you are walking on the street, you can meet someone and say, hello, how are you? They'll spend some minute to talk to you. But it's always raining here. Nobody stops to say hello to you. Everybody is busy running. And then I think, yeah, I wouldn't say the challenge is just being alone in a house with other professionals and everybody minds their business. And of course, when you come to campus, imagine I'm in a ecosystem of more Africans. I will feel free to eat gari and beans and jollof. But now, when I cook, I have to eat everything. I try to force my housemates to eat something Ghanaian, and that is it. But beyond that, I think, yeah, the
But
main purpose is
academically, you haven't faced any challenge, right?
academically. So one of the things is to develop that kind of cordial relationship with your supervisors. So I've built that kind of relationship. I feel free to approach them. They feel free to tell me the things I'm doing right or not. So I've heard stories of other people complain about relationship they have with their supervisors, but so far mine has been perfect. Not that I'm doing something extra, because
Mm-hmm.
I listen to what they tell me to do and I try to finish on time. And with that, I kind of create that kind of cordial relationship with them. So academically, they've not been, and of course, I anticipate some to come, but for now, no challenge.
Everything is going on smoothly.
Yeah,
Wow, that's good to know. So it
yeah.
means you are a shark.
No, really. It only means I think I pay more attention to the work. So my supervisor sent an email and he said, we met on the football pitch. So I play with the university team. And then we've been on lockdown for 2 years now. So just last week, we went off for additional 5 months. So beginning of the year, we're not having outdoor event. So we started playing, and then I went to play with the university staff, and my supervisor, the female, came to drop the husband. I never knew that was the husband. So after training, we met and he said, "Ah, Hammond is one of the serious guys," and I felt this big head, and
Yeah.
it makes me feel maybe I'm working too much. I think I need to start taking breaks. Yeah, and then I can relax. But then the hard work pays, and every supervisor wants to see his or her student
Effort.
work hard. And that
That's
is because at the end of the day, they take the funding from government. So if you disappoint, that means next year they cannot apply to the government for that
mm,
fund.
mm.
So it's not about you and your supervisor alone. It's about you, your supervisor, and the government who is paying for everything. Yeah.
Wow. And have you experienced any cultural shock?
I think I did. So let me share this funny story. I went to the US and then I experienced Halloween, and it's a bit of difference. So when I came to Ireland, I was living in a different place, which is a I think a revered estate of a sort, kind of quiet. So anytime I'm walking, I feel like I'm the only one walking on foot. So I started seeing this. They hang this kind of scarecrows and others, and then there's a house opposite me. So they designed the garden with skeleton and they wrote "Rest in peace." And I
Mm.
thought somebody was dead in the house. I felt so sad. So for the first 3 days, anytime I passed by that house, I was like, "Oh God, who
Oh.
died in this house?" And then it was in November. Now I started seeing various houses erecting these scarecrows, and I was like, "What is happening?" So one day I went to my supervisor and I told him, Alec, what is happening? There seem to be a lot of people dying. And he said, why? I said, yeah, I see rest in peace and skeleton. And he told me, no, 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 that is a build up to Halloween. I'm like, oh, yes. For 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 about 2 weeks, I was sad for nothing because I thought people
Yeah,
genuinely died. And then these houses, and I'm like,
that's so funny.
yeah. Irish people can decorate the house, and so the whole estate looks like a cemetery. Every home is having this scary stuff, and
Yeah.
the candles, and you know, in November we have shorter days and longer nights. So
Mm,
around 5 is already dark, and you
that
be walking home, you see candles, you see skeletons. I'm like, what
it's
is
scary.
happening? Yeah, not knowing it's just Halloween. They are preparing.
Halloween. Wow.
So that was just a bit of cultural shock. Aside that, I
Yeah,
think
sure. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I think yeah, you need to go to the pub and they tell you you drank 12 times, and then that was my first experience. And you know, this is the home of Guinness, just so you know. So Irish is the so we
Oh,
visited.
okay. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
I visited the pub and I'm sitting down and then I'm sipping. They're like, we don't sip. You just have
We
to drink
drink.
and walk to the next one. I'm like, yeah, everything is
Oh,
just fine. It's like
mm,
just something you need to learn and unlearn certain things
of
just to blend
course.
in. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of this whole thing, right?
yeah,
Okay. So, is there anything that you wish you knew before traveling or before moving to Ireland? But before that, Enchimaso says, yeah, Gary and beans is his favorite.
yeah. That's the only thing I miss, and I'm ready to pay
Yeah, he
anything
says
for the Gary
it's
and
your
beans. Yeah,
favorite.
yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be able to ship some to you. Okay, so
Yeah.
tell us some of the things you wish you knew before moving to Ireland.
What would I say? So I was fortunate to get in touch with a resident here, and then
Hmm.
um, I love African print, as you can see. I That's the only thing I wear. I'm a fan of. I have the Pan African ideology. So my auntie connected me to somebody, and we started speaking. And I checked the weather, everything online. So this is one of the wettest countries in Europe. It rains over 225 days in a year. So
Wow,
even in summer, we still
it's
have
raining.
showers. Yeah,
Oh,
so you always have to get dressed like it's going to rain. And when I was coming, I went to my tailor and I had very nice African prints. So I can't wear them. And now I try
yeah.
them on and they are not fitting. I wish somebody told me, Hammond, you like African wear, but don't bring them because the weather will
Yeah,
happen.
will not
So
permit. Mm.
yeah, I like the short sleeve African print. I have a lot of them and I have few long sleeves, but because of the weather, sometimes I look at my bag full of African print.
Africa print.
I can't wear the yeah, so I
Oh,
wish somebody told me what is on the internet about weather is far extreme
yeah.
than what I see. But yeah, beyond that, and I told you I had the opportunity. So as part of my contract, if I was in a relationship or married, I could
Mm,
bring the family over. I didn't know this, and that time I wasn't, so I missed that. And that's just the private part of it. But yeah,
mm-hmm.
these are the few stuffs, and I wish. I think lastly, I wish I knew. Okay, nobody can predict Corona, but if I knew things were going to, I'll carry more beans and more
Yeah,
garri. And more gobe.
like Maxwell is saying that it's your
Yeah,
favorite.
it's my favorite. I miss that a lot, and I
Yeah.
can't wait to
It's
get
okay.
there.
Very soon you'll be able to travel to Ghana and then enjoy your gobe.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. So can you tell us some of the pros and cons of studying in Ireland?
Well, I think it's an English country, so of course, if you're coming from Ghana or any English speaking country, or even it doesn't matter as far as you can write and understand English, you are good
English.
to go. And then I've been staying alone for most part of my life, so I always like quiet places, and Ireland is very quiet. In terms of overall security in Europe, we are one of the safest places. So, in
Mm,
terms of education, there are a lot of universities, lot of opportunities in and out of the university. So, there are a lot of positive things I can talk of, and the negative thing is you can die of loneliness here because nobody cares about anybody. You understand? Everybody
Yeah.
is busy. So, and so far so good. I don't see anything as a major obstacle that would be for a student. So, as a student, your primary aim is to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have that focus, nothing is an obstacle. So, I don't see too much of negatives. Everything is quite positive as much as you keep your mind on. And for me, I'm loving every bit of my time here. Yeah.
Wow. So that's great. So with all the experiences that I mean you've been through, or with all the things that you've experienced in Ireland, how has all these experiences influenced your way of life?
So
There been any change?
yeah, so I think the quietness of this country has exposed me more to social media. So now I think I'm virtually connected to more people because I can go a week if I don't come on Facebook or call somebody on phone or on Twitter. I might not speak to anybody because my housemate, everybody is busy. So
Easy.
it's quite a small and lonely place. So I've become more of a virtual person now compared to previously. Another thing too is I've learned the importance of volunteerism
Mm.
because I'm working with my local council as a volunteer, and then one of the first thing they asked me, "Do you have an experience?" And I started narrating the numerous volunteering experience, and they liked it. So I serve on the board for the county.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on the experience that I have, and
You had.
so yeah, I think the call for board member, they say they want diversity chair, and then diversity in an European country might mean somebody from Eastern Europe or something. So when I applied and during the interview, so you are from Africa, everybody was curious to know why you are here and the things you are.
Mm.
So I think that has shaped me. So anytime I'm speaking to colleagues, I tell them any chance you get, try to volunteer
Mm.
because how well you volunteer will sell you more than your first class or
Yeah.
second class.
Mm.
So, because when people meet you, if you are first class from Ghana or Africa and somebody's first class here, even you pick the one in Europe. The
Mm-hmm.
only
Of
thing that will
course.
make you, yeah, the only thing that will make you more demanding or preferred is your level of experiences. And in Ireland, people volunteer a lot for churches, for societies. So if you are in Ghana, wherever you are, any chance, try to volunteer. These guys like people who spend their time doing something for
Something.
society.
Mm.
So I always tell people, please, if you can teach in a rural school, do that. Add it to your CV. If you
Mm-hmm.
can help a local community build a church, a mosque, a school, do it. If you can help an old person learn how to use their phone, it's volunteerism, do it. Whatever you can do it and add it to your
Your
CV, and that one
CV.
sells you better.
Better. Wow. I
Yeah.
think I was going to ask you for your final words and advice to our audience, but it seems you have shared so much
Yeah.
already. Yeah, you've given
Yeah.
us lots of nuggets, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. So, if there's any other thing you would want to add, you can.
So yeah, I think probably I would love to come back again sometime, and I would
Mm-hmm.
like to only talk about rejection because there is a different path being rejected. So if you join this call, you might think, oh, this guy is lucky he applied and he got a scholarship, but it was never easy. There were moments I could scream in my room and cry because you get rejected. So I'll use this opportunity to tell people that apply as much as you can. When you get
Mm-hmm.
a rejection, don't delete the message. Open a folder and store it. One day you open and be laughing. This time I look at the
I
various
think I
rejection.
saw something like that on your page when you were saying that
Yeah.
you're doing all these things, and in future your kids are in trouble.
So yes, I'm going to open them and be like, look at your dad. I was rejected this number of times, but I never gave up. So
Yeah.
keep applying for the schools. Don't worry about being rejected. Your time is always coming. Wait for it, but don't give up. And number two, I'll reiterate the fact that if you have the chance, volunteer. Volunteerism is not wasted time. You might not understand why I keep saying volunteer, because wherever I go, I don't speak about being a PhD student or whatever. I speak about the experience I had volunteering
Mm-hmm.
for radio station, volunteering for communities, volunteering for women groups, volunteering for anywhere I go. I try to do that, and that is selling me. The local
Yeah.
council call you, Hammond, can you help us do this? Can you share your African perspective? Not
Mm.
because I'm an expert, because I volunteered some time ago and I even forgot about it. But now
Yeah.
they bring you on board to try and learn from you. So please volunteer as much as you can. And when you get rejected, don't worry, save that rejection email, apply again. Trust me, one day you open all those emails and be laughing and be like, look at these guys, they didn't know who they rejected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Hammond, for sharing your experiences with us and for all the advice that you've given us. We really appreciate that. But before we go, Antwi Maxwell is asking again. Tisha
Mhm.
asked Hammond, was he doing what he is doing to reach people in Africa, especially Ghana, for them to know how to go with their results?
Yeah, Maxwell. Yeah, so Maxwell is a senior high school mate, and then he's one of my big bosses. So Maxwell, greetings to you. So one of the things I do, teacher, if you can recall, when you just send me the email, I said yes, I'm into it. So
Mm-hmm.
opportunities of this, even if I have deadlines, I'll still make time to speak.
Mm.
Not because I'm an expert, not because I want to talk, but because I believe somebody needs
Needs to
a
hear.
single line of word that don't give up, and that person is going to work hard and make it. So I do this. I try to encourage people, and then other people reach out to me and I tell them do A, B, C, D and get back to me. Unfortunately, when you tell people the real truth, they don't come back. When you tell them go and focus on your CV, edit, they feel like you are burdening them. But I'm like, no, I want to tell you the right thing and you do the right thing. So I'm doing my best. I know it's not enough, but I keep trying. And for anyone who wants one-on-one chat advice, I'm always available. Just reach out to me. We'll always schedule a time and we can speak. And probably somebody even wants to ask a question but shy to do that here. We
Yeah.
can reach out to
Some
you.
people are also even not online. They would watch later.
Yeah,
So
so anybody who might watch this later, reach out to Tisha with your questions and she can pass on my number. Feel free, Tisha, to do that, my email address. And I would love to. I wish I could help many. I actually want more people to come here so that I can have. I miss the African connection. Like now,
yeah,
I keep,
I'm going to have you on the research spotlight where we'll talk about mentorship also. If
yeah.
there are some younger people who can reach you for mentorship.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm always available. I'm working with the Clinton Foundation on mentorship, where I'm fortunate to meet some Africans, and I encourage. I have, maybe I'm biased, but I love to speak to more Africans. So please feel free. Rich, I'm very free. Sometimes my face looks serious, but I can be very funny. So reach out and any advice I can, I will give to you freely. That
wow. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so pleased to have you here today. And viewers, this brings, is there anything that you would like to add? If not, we would have to say goodbye.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the time. And as I indicated earlier, people should subscribe to this channel. And I'm not the only one who have spoken here. I think I try to watch some of the previous, and people have shared key nuggets I believe others can learn from. So subscribe to this channel, watch all the previous videos, and maybe follow Tisha on social media to learn
Well,
more
thank
experts in
you.
speaking here so you can learn from them as well. And again, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the time. And if I said something that went against somebody's morality or whatever, it was for the purposes of emphasis. Please don't take me on. I'm innocent. Thank you.
That's worry. We understand. Thank you so much, Mr. Hammond. I know as a researcher, you are very busy, but because you are passionate about this and want to help others, you have made time for this, and I really do appreciate that. And I look forward to having you on the research spotlight.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you. And viewers, thank you for watching. See you in our next episode. Bye bye.